Imagine this. You wake up to the soft hum of your alarm, the world outside still cloaked in dawn's half-light. Your mind is already racing, a familiar tightness gripping your chest. Today, you tell yourself, will be the day you finally feel it, that elusive spark of happiness you've been chasing for as long as you can remember. You scroll through your phone, skimming curated lives that seem to glow with effortless joy. You plan your day meticulously, the perfect coffee, the productive workday, the evening ritual that promises to fix you. Yet deep down, a quiet voice whispers a troubling truth. No matter how hard you try, happiness slips through your fingers like sand. Why? Why does the pursuit of joy, the very thing you're told to seek, leave you feeling emptier than before? This isn't just a bad day or a fleeting mood. It's a paradox that gnaws at your core. You've done everything right, followed the advice, checked the boxes, chased the dreams society dangles like glittering prizes. The promotion, the relationship, the perfect Instagram aesthetic, each was supposed to be a stepping stone to bliss. But instead of fulfillment, you find yourself running on a treadmill that never stops, each step heavier than the last. The harder you chase, the more distant happiness becomes. It's as if the act of pursuing it is the very thing pushing it away. What's happening here? Is happiness a lie, a cruel mirage designed to keep you striving, never arriving? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who plumbed the depths of the human psyche, saw this trap with unnerving clarity. He warned that the modern world's obsession with happiness is a psychological cage, one we build ourselves, brick by unconscious brick. Jung didn't see happiness as a destination you could map out or a prize you could seize. To him, it was something else entirely, something far more elusive and profound. But what did he know that we don't? Why does our relentless pursuit of joy lead us not to freedom, but to a deeper kind of imprisonment? Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast forest, the path ahead shrouded in mist. You've been told the treasure happiness lies at the end of this path. So you walk, day after day, year after year, following the signs others have left. Work harder, love better, buy this, be that. But the forest grows darker, the path more tangled. You're exhausted, yet the treasure is nowhere in sight. What if the problem isn't your effort, but the path itself? What if the very act of chasing happiness is a trap, one woven into the fabric of your mind by forces you can't yet see? This is the great question. What if everything you've been taught about happiness is wrong? What if the pursuit itself is the problem? A seductive illusion that keeps you tethered to a cycle of longing and lack. Jung believed the human psyche is far more complex than our modern myths suggest. He saw a world within us, a realm of shadows, archetypes, and hidden truths that shapes our desires in ways we barely understand. To chase happiness, he argued, is to ignore this inner world, to run from the very parts of yourself that hold the key to something deeper. But what is this trap, and why does it feel so inescapable? You might feel it now, that faint unease stirring in your gut. It's the weight of a truth you've sensed but never named. You've tried to outrun it with distractions, new goals, new loves, new versions of yourself. But the emptiness persists, doesn't it? It lingers in the quiet moments, in the space between your achievements. What if this feeling isn't a failure, but a signal? A call to stop running and start questioning. To peer into the mist and ask, what am I really chasing? And why does it keep slipping away? This is where the journey begins, not with answers, but with a reckoning. The trap of chasing happiness isn't just a personal struggle. It's a psychological and philosophical puzzle that has ensnared humanity for centuries. Jung saw it as a symptom of a deeper disconnect, a rift between who we are and who we're told to be. To unravel this, we must venture into the roots of this trap, into the hidden forces that shape our desires and drive us to chase what we can never catch. Are you ready to step into the unknown? You're still standing at the edge of that misty forest, the path behind you littered with the relics of your pursuit goals achieved, dreams chased, moments you thought would finally make you whole. Yet here you are, heart heavy, wondering why the finish line keeps moving. The question lingers like a shadow. Why does chasing happiness feel like chasing your own tail? Carl Jung, with his piercing insight into the human psyche, would say you're caught in a trap not of your own making, but one woven by the very fabric of your mind and the world around you. To understand this, you must dig deeper into the psychological and philosophical roots of this relentless pursuit, a pursuit that promises freedom but delivers chains. Jung believed the human psyche is a vast, uncharted territory, split between the conscious self you know and the unconscious depths you don't. The modern world, with its glittering promises of happiness, trains you to focus only on the surface, on what you can see, measure, and possess. A better job, a perfect partner, a flawless body, these are the trophies you're told will fill the void. But Jung saw through this illusion. He argued that the pursuit of happiness is a symptom of a deeper disconnection, a refusal to face the unconscious forces that truly shape your desires. You're not just chasing joy. You're running from the parts of yourself you've been taught to ignore. This disconnection begins with what Jung called the persona, the mask you wear to fit into the world. From childhood, you're molded by society's expectations. Be successful, be likable, be happy. You craft a persona to meet these demands, a polished version of yourself that smiles on cue and chases the right things. But beneath this mask lies the shadow, the hidden, unacknowledged parts of you. Your anger, your fear, your doubts, your wild, untamed desires. These are banished to the unconscious, deemed unacceptable by a world obsessed with positivity. Jung warned that ignoring the shadow doesn't make it disappear. It festers, sabotaging your pursuit of happiness from within. Consider this. Every time you chase a new goal, hoping it will finally make you happy, you not just seeking a reward, you trying to outrun the unease of your own shadow. That promotion you worked sleepless nights for? It wasn't just about money. It was about proving you're enough. That relationship you poured your heart into? It wasn't just love. It was a bid to silence the fear of being alone. But the shadow doesn't stay quiet. It whispers in your moments of doubt, in the hollowness that follows each victory. Jung saw this as the root of the trap. The more you chase happiness to escape your shadow, the more power you give it. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche echo this insight. Nietzsche scorned the herd mentality that drives people to seek comfort and conformity, calling it a betrayal of the self. He argued that true fulfillment comes not from chasing pleasure, but from embracing the struggle to become who you are, a process Jung called individuation. This isn't about achieving a state of constant joy, but about integrating all parts of yourself, shadow and all, into a whole. Yet society, with its endless scroll of smiling faces and live your best life mantras, conditions you to reject this integration. You're taught to suppress discomfort, to medicate pain with distractions, to chase a happiness that's always just out of reach. Arthur Schopenhauer, the pessimist philosopher, takes this further. He saw life as a pendulum swinging between boredom and suffering, with happiness as a fleeting illusion. For Schopenhauer, the pursuit of happiness is doomed because it is rooted in desire, an endless cycle of wanting that can never be satisfied. Jung, while less bleak, shared this skepticism of surface-level joy. He believed that chasing happiness ignores the deeper purpose of life, to confront the unconscious, to wrestle with your inner contradictions, to find meaning in the tension between light and dark. This trap isn't just personal, it's cultural. Modern society, as Aldous Huxley warned in Brave New World, sells happiness as a commodity, a quick fix delivered through consumption, entertainment, or self-improvement fads. You're bombarded with messages that happiness is your birthright, that any discomfort is a failure to be fixed. But Jung saw this as a lie that keeps you tethered to external validation. The more you seek happiness outside yourself, the more you lose touch with the inner world where true transformation begins. What makes this trap so insidious is its invisibility. You don't see the bars of the cage because they rebuilt from your own desires, reinforced by a culture that profits from your discontent. Every advertisement, every self-help book, every social media post subtly tells you, you're not enough yet, but this will make you happy. And so you run faster, strive harder, only to find the void growing larger. The psychological cost is staggering burnout, anxiety, a gnawing sense of alienation. Jung would ask, what happens when you keep running from yourself? What price do you pay for ignoring the truth within you? The answer lies in the unseen consequences of this relentless pursuit, a cascade of effects that silently shapes your reality, your relationships, and the very way you see the world. You might not notice it at first, but the chase for happiness warps your mind like a slow poison. Every time you pin your hopes on the next big thing, a new job, a new love, a new version of yourself, you're not just chasing a goal, you're reinforcing a lie. That lie, Jung would argue, is the belief that happiness is a state you can capture and hold like a trophy on a shelf. But the human psyche doesn't work that way. It's a living, breathing thing, full of contradictions and currents that refuse to be tamed. The more you try to force it into a mold of constant joy, the more you fracture yourself. One consequence is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. You achieve something you thought would make you happy, a raise, a trip, a perfect moment, and for a fleeting second, you feel it. But then the glow fades, and you're back to where you started, craving the next hit. Neurologically, this isn't an accident. Your brain's reward system, driven by dopamine, is wired to keep you wanting, not having. Each goal you chase triggers a surge of anticipation, but once you get it, your brain resets, leaving you hungry again. Jung saw this as a symptom of a deeper problem. By focusing only on external rewards, you're ignoring the inner work that could break the cycle. This treadmill doesn't just exhaust you. It distorts your perception. Cognitive biases creep in, like the availability heuristic, which makes you overestimate the happiness of others based on their curated social media lives. You see their highlight reels, smiling families, exotic vacations, flawless careers, and your brain tricks you into believing they've cracked the code you haven't. This comparison fuels a sense of inadequacy, a nagging belief that you're falling behind in the race to bliss. But what if they're trapped too, running just as fast, hiding the same emptiness? The societal fallout is just as grim. Jung warned that a culture obsessed with happiness breeds conformity, not freedom. You're conditioned to chase what everyone else chases: success, status, approval, because that's what the world calls happy. But this collective pursuit erases individuality. You lose touch with your unique desires, your quirks, your shadows, all in the name of fitting in. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist, would call this bad faith a refusal to face your own freedom to define meaning on your terms. You become a cog in a machine, chasing a happiness that's been pre-packaged for you, not one you've chosen. And then there's the emotional toll. The constant striving leaves you brittle, vulnerable to burnout and despair. Psychologists point to the rise in anxiety and depression as evidence of a society that's lost its way. When you're taught that happiness is the goal and discomfort is the enemy, every setback feels like a personal failure. You start to fear negative emotions, shoving them into the shadow Jung spoke of. But those emotions don't vanish, they fester, manifesting as irritability, self-doubt, or a vague sense that something's wrong with you. The irony is brutal. In trying to avoid pain, you create more of it. Relationships suffer too. When you're caught in the happiness trap, you approach others not as they are, but as means to an end. You seek partners who complete you, friends who validate you, colleagues who boost your status. Jung saw this as a projection of your unlived self onto others, a desperate attempt to fill the void within. But people aren't puzzle pieces for your happiness. They're complex, flawed, and carrying their own shadows. When you expect them to make you happy, you set the stage for disappointment, resentment, and disconnection. The most insidious consequence is spiritual. Jung believed the pursuit of happiness cuts you off from your soul's deeper purpose. He saw life not as a quest for comfort, but as a journey toward individuation, the integration of your conscious and unconscious selves. By chasing external rewards, you neglect the inner world where meaning is born. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, echoed this when he wrote that happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue, as a byproduct of living a meaningful life. When you chase happiness, you not just running in circles, you running away from the very thing that could make you whole. Feel the weight of this yet? The way it creeps into your thoughts, your choices, your very sense of self. You might sense the urgency now, the need to break free from this invisible cage. But how? The world keeps pushing you to run faster, to try harder, to buy into the same old promises. What does it take to step off the treadmill, to face the shadow, to find a different path? The answer lies in a rebellion, a radical shift in how you see yourself and the world. It's not easy, but it's possible, and it starts with questioning everything you've been taught to believe. You felt the cage tightening around you, the relentless pursuit of happiness that leaves you drained, disconnected, and further from yourself than ever. The world's promises ring hollow now. The treadmill keeps spinning, but you're starting to see it for what it is. Carl Jung would say this moment of clarity, this flicker of doubt, is the first step toward rebellion. Not a rebellion of fists or shouts, but a quiet, radical uprising within your own psyche. To break free from the psychological trap of chasing happiness, you must turn away from the path society has laid out and forge your own. This I-T about finding a new goal to chase is about dismantling the very framework that keeps you running. The first act of rebellion is to stop. Stop chasing, stop striving, stop believing that happiness is a destination you'll reach if you just try harder. Jung's insight here is counterintuitive. The pursuit of happiness is a distraction from the real work of becoming whole. He called this work individuation, the process of integrating your conscious self with the unconscious, including the shadow you've spent your life avoiding. To start, you must face a truth that feels like a betrayal. Happiness isn't the point. Meaning is, and meaning doesn't come from external rewards. It comes from wrestling with the parts of yourself you've been taught to fear. Begin by questioning the narrative you've swallowed. Society tells you to suppress discomfort, to chase pleasure, to polish your persona until it shines. But Jung saw the persona as a mask that hides your true self, and the shadow as the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. Your rebellion starts with curiosity. What's in your shadow? What anger, fear, or desire have you buried because it didn't fit the happy mold? Try this. Sit in silence for 10 minutes, no distractions, and ask yourself what you're afraid to feel. Write it down unfiltered. Don't judge it. This simple act facing what you've hidden is a radical departure from the chase. It's the first step toward reclaiming your power. Next, shift your perspective on suffering. The world sells happiness as the absence of pain, but Jung saw pain as a teacher. He believed the tension between opposites, joy and sorrow, light and shadow, is where growth happens. Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher Jung admired, put it starkly: "That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Stop running from discomfort. Lean into it." When you feel anxious, don't distract yourself with another goal or scroll. Ask, what is this anxiety trying to tell me? Is it pointing to a truth I've ignored? This doesn't mean wallowing in pain, but recognizing it as a signal, a guide toward the parts of yourself you've neglected. Historical figures show us how this rebellion looks in practice. Take Socrates, who refused to chase the approval of Athens' elite. He questioned everything happiness, virtue, the gods, knowing it would cost him his life. Yet his defiance birthed philosophy itself, a legacy of seeking truth over comfort. Or consider Jung himself, who in his 40s faced a psychological crisis that shattered his own persona. He didn't run from it. He dove into his unconscious, documenting his visions and dreams in what became the Red Book. This descent into his shadow wasn't about finding happiness. It was about finding himself. Both men teach us that rebellion means choosing authenticity over ease, even when it's terrifying. Practically, this rebellion requires new habits. Replace the chase for external validation with small acts of self-discovery. Journal daily, not to plan your next achievement, but to explore your contradictions. What do you want that you're afraid to admit? What part of you feels silenced? Meditation can help, not as a trendy fix, but as a way to sit with your inner chaos. Jung used active imagination, a practice of dialoguing with your unconscious through writing or visualization to uncover hidden truths. Try it. Imagine a figure representing your shadow, then ask it what it wants. The answers might unsettle you, but they'll also set you free. Another tool is to redefine success. Society measures it in wealth, status, or likes, but Jung would urge you to measure it by integration, how well you know and accept all parts of yourself. This means celebrating small victories. The moment you acknowledge a fear instead of suppressing it, the day you choose solitude over distraction, the time you say no to a demand that doesn't serve your truth. These acts build a new kind of strength, one that doesn't depend on external applause. The rebellion isn't easy. The world will pull you back, tempting you with quick fixes and shiny promises. Your own mind will resist, conditioned to crave the familiar rush of the chase. But every step you take toward your shadow, toward meaning over happiness, weakens the trap's hold. You're not just breaking free. You're rewriting the rules of what it means to live. And in this rebellion, you re-edging closer to a truth so profound it could change everything. A truth Jung spent his life chasing, one that lies just beyond the next horizon. You've begun to rebel, stepping off the treadmill, daring to face the shadow you've spent years outrunning. The world's promises of happiness, those glittering lures of success, approval, and endless joy have started to lose their shine. You've seen the trap for what it is, a psychological prison built on the lie. That happiness is a destination you can reach if you just run fast enough. But now, standing in the quiet aftermath of your rebellion, you sense there's something more, a deeper truth, waiting to be uncovered. Carl Jung, who spent his life mapping the uncharted depths of the psyche, would say you re on the verge of the ultimate realization. Happiness, eye and hand to the goal. It's a shadow cast by something far greater. To grasp this, you must confront a truth that redefines everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. This ultimate truth is deceptively simple, yet it cuts like a blade through the fog of modern life. You are not meant to chase happiness, but to create meaning. Jung believed that the purpose of life is individuation, the lifelong journey of integrating your conscious and unconscious selves into a whole. Happiness, as the world defines it, is a fleeting byproduct, a mirage that distracts you from this deeper work. When you chase it, you're chasing an illusion, a surface ripple that vanishes the moment you try to grasp it. Meaning, on the other hand, is the ocean beneath, vast, turbulent, and eternal. It doesn't promise comfort, but it offers something more, a sense of purpose that anchors you, even in the storm. This realization flips everything upside down. All those moments you felt empty, despite checking every box society handed you, suddenly make sense. The promotion that left you hollow, the relationship that didn't fix you, the endless scroll for validation, they failed because they were never the point. Jung saw the psyche as a dynamic system, always seeking balance between opposites, light and dark, joy and pain, self and shadow. To chase only one side happiness is to deny the other, creating a lopsided existence that can never feel whole. The moments you labeled as failures were not mistakes. They were your psyche crying out for balance, begging you to stop running and start listening. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, arrived at a similar truth. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote that happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue as a byproduct of living for something greater than yourself. Frankl found meaning in the depths of suffering, in the choice to affirm life even when it seemed unbearable. Jung would agree. Meaning emerges when you face your shadow, when you integrate the parts of yourself you've been taught to reject. This isn't about achieving a state of constant joy, but about embracing the full spectrum of what it means to be human. It's a truth that makes your past struggles not just bearable, but essential. Imagine standing in that misty forest again, the one you've been wandering in search of happiness. Now the mist begins to clear, and you see the truth. The treasure was never at the end of the path. It was within you all along, buried in the shadows you feared to face. Every doubt, every pain, every moment of longing was a guidepost, pointing you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. This is what Jung meant by individuation. Not a finish line, but a process of becoming. You don't arrive at meaning. You live it moment by moment, choice by choice. This realization is both liberating and haunting. Liberating because it frees you from the exhausting chase, from the need to prove yourself to a world that doesn't know you. Haunting because it demands courage to face your fears, to question the lies you've lived by, to build a life that's true to your soul. Jung's contemporary, Aldous Huxley, warned that modern society thrives on distraction, keeping you too busy to ask the big questions. But now you're asking them. What do you truly want? Not for happiness, but for meaning. What parts of yourself have you silenced to fit in? What would it look like to live as your whole self, shadows and all? The final step is to act. Start small, but start now. Speak a truth you've held back. Pursue a passion that scares you. Sit with your discomfort instead of numbing it. These are not acts of chasing, but of creating a life aligned with your deepest self. Jung believed that every individual who undertakes this journey transforms not just themselves, but the world around them. Your rebellion, your meaning-making, ripples outward, challenging the culture that keeps others trapped. As you stand at this threshold, the forest no longer feels like a maze. It's a mirror, reflecting every part of you, light, shadow, and all. You don't need to run anymore. The ultimate truth is this. You are enough, not because you've achieved or acquired, but because you're willing to become. Step forward, not toward happiness, but toward yourself. The journey is the treasure, and it's only just begun.